Welcome back to another installment of I've Played My Homies Play Danganronpa, but the wheel decides their fate. This time, as you can see, the wheel is pretty sure double the size of last time, and also we have revamped the pizza wheel to be the most insane it has been yet, and don't worry, I'll explain all the new stuff that's on there as and when we roll it. But first things first, just who is on our wheel? Well, quickly running through all 111 people on this wheel, starting off we have Mustache Neremik, followed by Goofy Fella, followed by The Unknown, followed by Tommy Wiseau, then No Such Thing as a Coincidence, Sad Hamster, Cat Feeder Cat, Bingus, BTS, Nadine, Suda, Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, Nicky Cardo Avocado, James Charles, Chills, Luigi, Bowser, X, Zero, Junko, Mondo, Leon, Toko, Mihiru, Ibuki, Miyu, Kaito, Gonta, Ruruka, and then Tails, Amy, Maria, Miles Edgeworth, Maya Fey, Carlos, Mira, Snake, Clover, Dio, Chie, Naoto, Akechi, Joker, Makoto Yuki, Junpei, Kenji, Rio, Ren, Trashcan Zombie, Blatro Guy, Ao Oni, Granny, The Haze, Todoroki, Kirishima, Midoriya, Hawks, Shigaraki, Gus Fring, Skylar White, Karamatsu, Jushimatsu, Mr. Flag, Iyami, Gojo, Josuke, Okiyasu, Doppio, Bucciarati Cell, Bulma, Future Trunks, Shin, Yamcha, Venti, Kazuha, Diluc, Raiden Shogun, Heizo, Winnie, Jesse, James, Sobble, Ogapon, Cat, Jade, Sheldon, Denji, Miranda, Ron Swanson, Austin Powers, Jarfei, Kris Jenner, Bayonetta, Britney Spears, Thanos, Cupcakes, Chinese Teacher, Seek from Doors, Miku, Time Thief Redo from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Kaz from Breath of the Wild, Rambly from Indigo Park, Makoto from Blue Archive, Shin from Your Turn to Die, Jacob from Dead Island 2, BT7274 from Titanfall, Chopper from One Piece, Project Red from Ark Knights, and Chris McLean from Total Drama Island. Yeah, it's quite the cast, but out of every cast, we need some people who are the most important. We need a main character, we need their sidekick, and we need the person who's going to be trying to get in their way. So without any further ado, there's 111 people on this wheel, but the one we're looking at for the most is famous YouTuber Chills. Okay, he is our main character. I mean, he does discuss mysteries, it's just this time he's solving them. But who is his sidekick? Who is the one who's going to be by his side? His second in command, it's going to be, Junko fucking Enoshima, okay. Quite the duo. I could think of a few people that would be opposed to that duo, though. Maybe he doesn't gel with them, maybe he wants to get in their way. It better not be Junko. Okay, X. I feel as though X and Junko are kind of at ideological odds. That one makes sense. And maybe X just doesn't like Chills' narration voice, you know, sometimes it can be that simple. But those are our main characters. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to be rerolling the cast until they are all dead, because otherwise we're going to eat into time. Because as I'm sure you can imagine, this one's going to take a while to get through. But first things first. We're gonna spin a pizza wheel. This thing is the most cracked it has ever been. The most insane it has ever been. And first things first, it's giving off immunity. So 2 people can get this throughout the run. Some of these have useless limits, I've got like notes off to the side. But immunity. So somebody's starting off, they're gonna win, I don't know, a challenge. But basically, if we were to roll them to be murdered or to be a murderer, we go nutter and re-roll. So Bingus has earned that. Well done, Bingus. I'll make a mental note of it and try not to forget. Bingus, he's immune. But that said, Bingus may be immune, but there's 110 other people who aren't. So who's the unlucky person out of those people who's dying first? It's Ruruka from Danganronpa 3, the only person here from that. Okay, in terms of people to go first, yeah, I can see it. But who has killed her? Who has killed her? The Haze? Really? We're going with the Haze. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, so I just stuck anything that worked in here. The Haze I envision as just like a force that isn't physical but you can feel. Like a really ominous cloud, or a haze if you will. So why would the Haze want to kill Ruruka? Well, I can imagine maybe she just pissed it off. You know, I think that's plausible. She's not the nicest person. So I think, yeah, we'll see Ruruka pissed off the Haze, and then the Haze, I don't know, maybe she got like Slender Man staticked, and just kind of like died that way. I mean, I think the Haze could do that personally. I'm making up his character traits as we go along. So we'll see he did that, but whereas previously, that would have been where this one ended, now we get to cook up an execution for the Haze. Yeah, no, my workload for this one's gonna be crazy. How do we kill the Haze? I'm gonna say, since it's like the closest thing to a ghost we've got on the island, let's call him Luigi and he's gonna suck it into his vacuum. You know, we're gonna make sure, you know, there's a bit of engagement in these executions. Yeah, Luigi kind of just vacuums up all of the Haze and he's stuck in his thing. So if Luigi dies and we roll a revive and the Haze comes back in, there we are. But that said, Round 1, lesson learned, do not anger the haze. Round 2. I mean, it's better than round 1 getting psyched, but, revive? Really? Right. So how we do this is we've got a revive wheel, 1 to 111. Whatever it lands on, we revive the person closest to it who is dead. So give me a second to look backwards and I'll figure out if Ruruka or the haze was closer to 104. Okay, so Ruruka was 37 away, the haze was 50 something, so Ruruka has somehow been revived. If I had to guess, maybe the moment the haze was killed, the way he killed her was only like active for as long as he was like alive or active, so Ruruka just kind of woke back up, is what we'll go with. But yeah, interesting first chapter. If anything, it just served to kill the haze. But chapter 2, ooh, Jessie from Pokemon. Oh, okay. I added her up for a few of your suggestions for individual Pokemon. It made sense. The Pokemon were here because, you know, they were brought here by Team Rocket. And Jessie being killed by Doppio. Okay, there's only one redhead allowed on this island, apparently. And Doppio wanted it to be him. I guess they just ignored Mihiru. Okay. So why would Jessie... why would Jessie anger Doppio? Because he's a bit, you know, all over the place. I'm gonna say, like, okay, Doppio's around in, like, the 2000s, so, like, Doppio would know what Pokemon is. Oh, actually, we'll say Doppio's just hanging out in the Pokemon world, and Team Rocket stole one of his Pokemon. So maybe, like, he's seeing this as the perfect chance to revenge. You know, it's not really set in at this point, especially after that very non-serious first case that this is something serious. So he's like, okay, revenge. And so he's like, okay, which one do I kill? Jessie, James. It's like, okay, no, I can be the only person with funky red hair, ignoring Mihiru. And also, she's probably the weakest link. I mean, James is a hunk of a man. So he uses like King Crimson to just make Jessie blast off again. There's like a twinkle in the distance. And he's like, great, body discovery announcement, and gets sent down. Now, ooh, okay, how would we get rid of Doppio specifically? Because I could go with the lore accurate ending for him, but I feel as though that's dull, that's boring. So I'm gonna say, I want it to be very Italian themed, you know, kind of in line with our pizza wheel. No, I've got it actually. We want something Italian. How about we stick him in like, sort of like a Tomb Raider thing where there's like a boulder chasing after him, but it is simply the pizza wheel. And Monokuma's just like, yeah, there's an exit. There is in fact not an exit. Doppio gets swashed. Yes, I like that. Ran over by the pizza wheel. Speaking of, let's spin. Double culprits, barely not being double murder. Okay, so, someone, now it's said in that there's a killing game, everybody's got a bit more serious, and they team up to kill Chie, Persona 4. Okay, Cat, why do you sound so sad? Sorry, my cat's just interrupted the recording, got the saddest meow you've ever heard. I'm gonna spin for culprits, but do you want to go in my wardrobe? There you are. Have fun. Okay, Bucciarati has killed a teenager, am I hearing that right? It's close enough to canon. And who else? Are you happy? Yeah, okay, my cat legit just wants to climb in my wardrobe. And the other person getting in on this is Diluc. Okay, dynamic duo of Bucciarati and Diluc. I'm living for it, actually. Why would they want to kill Chie? I mean, actually, no, so let's look at it an alternative way, right? In terms of people on the island, biggest threat to maybe foiling a murder plot is Chie. Part of the investigation team can galactic punt somebody into orbit. Chie is like the biggest threat on the island that you could feasibly kill. So I'm going to say, Diluc runs Dawn Winery, right? So I'm going to say they bait Chie in with the promise of, steak, and fancy steak-flavoured wine that makes the steak taste nicer. And Chie is but a fool to wander on in. So Diluc's there, you know, he's serving the most delicious steak and steak wine ever. Problem is there's like, I don't know, maybe he sprinkles some sedatives into the steak, and then Bucciarati just slips out from a zipper in the wall, and he's like, galactic punt this, and he just unzips Chie's head. So she will not be doing any galactic punting today. And maybe this was initially planned as like a double murder. Maybe the plan was, okay, we'll take out Chie because she's like probably most likely to twig this, next to like the actual detectives that will twig this very obvious murder setup plot. And maybe they were planning to kill someone else. If I had to guess, going to the first person my eyes go to, it was Nadine. I don't know why they were going to kill Nadine. Maybe they weren't a fan of how Popstar's arrivals turned out. That happened last time, it can happen again. But yes, and they just get foiled, they get discovered, you know, that murder stuff gets shut down before they can put it into motion. Spin the pizza. It is Seek a Way Out. Okay, returning from last time, this one has a limit of 3 uses this time, for those wondering. Seek a Way Out. Who's leaving? Who saw that last case and thought, nah, this isn't for me, sorry, I'm gonna escape? It's international rap sensation Cupcake. Okay, goodbye, Cupcake. If I had to guess, hijacked one of Monokuma's military helicopters and, like, flew off to Flop Tropica. I guess we're making that canon in this series now. But, oh! Filled with rage! Somebody commits another murder. Who's dead? Who's dead? Who wishes it could have been them on that thing? I don't know, but they've gone and killed Todoroki. I know I was just saying about powerful people on the island, but yeah, Mr. Fire and Ice here. Pretty tall order to kill. I'm hoping we roll someone good for this, because if it's somebody quite... Zero. Ooh, not X. Almost our antagonist, but no, Zero. Why would Zero want to kill Todoroki? Well, you'd think they'd be fighting for the same side. Unless... Oh, this is evil. But I kind of love it. So Zero in Mega Man lore, for those of you who want to get caught up on it, often gets viruses and goes a little bit evil. Just a little bit, just tiny bit evil. You know, like 50% of the games he appears in. So I'm gonna say Zero gets a virus. Either cooked up by Miyu, Junko, or maybe Beyonce's picked up programming in her spare time, I don't know. But, you know, he's picked up a virus, but, you know, they just give it to him. It's like, you know, a virus, you know, it's still Zero doing the murder, and they somehow, whoever has given them this virus gets away scot-free. But they give him the virus, and they're like, okay, we like what those other two are onto with Chie. You know, they're a bigger fish to fry. Specifically, the guy that can fry fish with his power. So, you know, we're just gonna, like, you know, Zero, here's virus, go kill Todoroki. And then for his execution, let's keep it simple. Let's just say he gets compacted into a neat little square. Namaste, fly high, my sweet prince. X will avenge you. And now he's like reinvigorated as our antagonist, because he's like, oh, my homie's dead. I hate this. Pizza wheel though. Let's see, what do we got? What do we got? Up the ante, okay. So this is new for this one. Up the ante, basically, this stays on the entire time, no limit on the uses, until we get to the very end where I'm taking it off for reasons you'll soon figure out. Up the ante basically starts out, we roll that, 2 people gonna die with 2 culprits. Next time it's 3 and 3 then, 4 and 4 then, 5 and 5, and we hope it doesn't get to 6 and 6 and beyond, but yeah, that's why we take it off in the end game, because it gets bloody. But this first one is 2 dead, 2 murdered. Makes sense, but who is it gonna be? Time Thief Redoer, that was one of your guys' suggestions. Makes sense, possibly, that somebody would want to take out the ability for someone to go time traveling. And the other person who's dead is Amy. I guess that makes sense, she's got tarot cards, that was a Yu-Gi-Oh card, it kind of links up actually, okay. Then. Responsible is Gojo. Okay. Fly high, my Shayla and all that jazz. Why were you murdering though, and who were you murdering with? You were murdering with Tommy Wiseau. Okay. Right. I got this. So Time Thief Redoer and Amy are a package, because that's a card, she's got tarot cards, it works out, but this card is like sentient. And we'll say it has time travel properties people kind of run in for. Namely, Tommy Wiseau. Because Lisa from the movie The Room that he's famously stars in and wrote, has left him, and he's very angry. So he's gonna Time Thief redo his way back into a relationship with Lisa. Issue is Amy is guarding that shit like it's Fort Knox. Still using his Tommy Wiseau charm, he's able to somehow seduce Gojo into being like, hey, we need this card. I get my Lisa, you are able to maybe go out in public without getting mocked by fangirls. Maybe we change something in the timeline of Gojo to make him less appealing to women all over the globe, who can guess. So what I'm gonna say is that they agree, and Tommy's like, yeah, you get him, Mark, I mean Gojo, and Gojo just hollow purples Amy and catches the card, like, in the process. And like, Tommy's watching from the side, having orchestrated this, just slowly turns, and he's like, you missed the card, didn't you? There's still just silence, and then I'm gonna say through some of his, like, mystical Tommy powers, he proceeds to just drain the life force from Gojo, killing him on the spot. And yes, he does have the ability to do that in real life, I checked. So, Tommy Wiseau's execution, let's keep it simple. In the filming of the room, it took God knows how many takes for him to get the famous "Oh hi Mark" scene filmed. So for his execution, we're going to make him film that until he dies of old age. Sometimes we don't have to pull out all the stops for them. Spin the pizza! Spin the pizza! It's going pretty good so far, I will say. Double revive. This can happen twice, whereas regular revive is unlimited, but double revive is pretty much what it says on the tin. 2 people are going to come back. Who are they going to be? Who are they going to be? We're going to figure it out, and then I'm going to, stick them in after a brief jump cut, because it takes me a minute to figure out. But it is whoever is closest to 58, and then whoever is closest to the number 107, 106? Right, 58 and 106. I'll be back, I'll re-add them, I'll let you know who they are. Okay, so the people who ended up the closest were Todoroki and then the Time Thief Redoer. If I had to guess, I'm going to say Time Thief Redoer managed to find a way to save himself using some time travel shenanigery a la Phi and Sigma last time. Maybe he had some help from them, I don't know. And then for Todoroki, you know, it's kind of difficult for him to, you know, come back from the whole being murdered thing by Zero. But maybe Zero's thing was jammed, and it only just stunned him and stopped his heart momentarily. And a few days later, and a defibrillator, he's alive again. Yes. Weirder things have happened in my hero. People have survived having their heart destroyed, so I think this is plausible. Though we don't need to spin the piece, we need to spin the wheel. Regular round now. Regular round now. And dying is... Toko. Okay. Maybe somebody found out her secret. I can buy it. I can buy it. And killing her is... Cat from Victorious. Okay, this is basically just canon. I think on part of negligence, she could have probably accidentally killed Toko without even realizing the whole Jill side, you know, the whole serial killer bit. So if I had to guess, I'm gonna say in some weird like side plot, Toko gets dragged into one of Kat's weird misadventures. No, we'll say it's the episode where she gets addicted to like Bibble or whatever it is, and she's like, "Hey Toko, try this, try this, try this," and Toko is allergic, which is quite sad. But what's sadder is, and I have to think of a fitting execution from one of the most insane people on TV. You know, actually, famously in an episode of Victorious, they send Kat to a mental ward.
Where's Kat?
I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Like, she's not executed. She's just in there. Spin the pizza. Double murder. Okay, so one person got busy. One person got busy. But with who? Okay, I'm sorry, they killed... Someone killed Shigaraki. Whom else? Whom else? Whom else? Miranda? Shigaraki and Miranda, am I hearing that right? That's, Ooh. Ooh. That hurts. Who did it? Because this requires such finesse to pull off. It's the AI-controlled robot from Titanfall. Okay. Shigaraki. Villain. This thing from Titanfall. Hero. Miranda. Somewhere morally in the middle. So what I'm gonna say, let's say Miranda and Shigaraki have somehow become best friends. And they're like, okay, in order to act mysterious, we're gonna go on a holiday. That's right, we're going to Thailand. Obviously there's no way in hell they're getting off the island, they just want to see mysterious. So what they actually do is go to a hotel round the corner and just pretend they're in Thailand for a week, you know, etc. As one does, you know, Miranda and the bestie. And then they proceed to get excessively drunk in the hotel bar, and then stumble into a conference which is happening at said hotel, of which, because the island's so big, nobody clocks that they're not the conference speaker guests. So they confuse the conference speaker guests, get absolutely hammered on shots, and then fall asleep, and wake up with the worst hangover ever the next day, and try to sneak out the building before they, you know, get called to present this conference that they know nothing about. We'll say it's maybe one on like why killing people is bad. Hosted by these two people. Yeah, they'd be the worst speakers ever. So they try to sneak out, and I'm going to say they get yoinked in. Yes, we'll say Bayonetta shows them. It's like, no, you're going the wrong way. The conference is this way, and drags them in to start speaking. Complete disaster. And most people immediately realize, oh, okay, as you would. But no, I'm going to say BT7274 over here flips his shit. He paid £100 for this conference and just... Can he kill people with lasers? I'm going to say he kills them both with lasers, disintegrating them both. And kind of proving why I should have been at that conference to begin with.
So I forgot to record an execution for the Titanfall guy, so I'm doing it now. I'm going to say Monokuma sent him caving in the Boulder Valley cave. He was then crushed by 2 boulders from either side and was then reduced to a shape and was pronounced dead 3 minutes before rescuers arrived.
That happened. That's what we're going with. Spin the pizza wheel. The less we think on that one, the better. We all in agreement? I was having so much fun with it, but okay, I can't really explain that last one in universe as how that was psyched out, but I've re-added them to the wheel. If I had to guess, maybe nothing happened and Monokuma got bored and wanted to make a fake murder, and that's what he came up with. So they lived to see another day. But now for the actual next murder. Who's doing it? Who's doing it? There's no one doing it anymore. It's Edgeworth dead. Okay. Intriguing. Who's killed him? Ruruka, you get revived and then immediately kill someone. Okay, why would she want to kill Edgeworth? Well, I mean, again, she's not the nicest person, but she also kind of has like a criminal past. Maybe, again, I'm going off the assumption that not everybody is well acquainted with each other at this point because the group is still so big. So I think maybe Ruruka's only just clocked now that Edgeworth is prosecuting her for blowing up the gym in Danganronpa 3. Which she's like kind of responsible for, and she's like, I'm too young to go to prison, but as the law doesn't apply here, if I kill him and get away with it, then I don't go to prison. So she proceeds to kill Miles Edgeworth with the Thinker, and everyone's like, who would do this? And they'll go like, okay, there were a lot of criminals here, but Ruruka's the only one that Miles was actually investigating and getting ready to prosecute once he got out of here, so it's probably her. Ruruka executed. And then, okay, for her murder, I'm gonna say, but this time, I'm just gonna say she just accidentally eats a sweet that she makes with, poison. Which I'm told happens, like, more often than it should in real life, so, moving swiftly on before I think about that too much, pizza! Yes, spin my sweet summer child, what do you have for me? You're fucking... Nobody's gonna die today, are they? They're all just gonna get revived. Well, you know the drill. You know the drill. You might think a lot of people getting revived. There are multiple things on that pizza wheel that will knock out half of it, if not more. But, that's about, what, 64? Okay, 64. Is that who I think it is? It's, okay, it's Mr. Fike who's still alive, which means, by some modern miracle, Gojo's getting revived. If I had to guess why Gojo got revived, I'm gonna say that Monokuma kind of took him away for a few chapters and revived him. Because the fan outcry from him dying was so great. He was like, nah, I've got to keep these ratings up. I am reviving this bitch. So Gojo has been revived. And like Tommy Wiseau isn't there to reinforce his death. So it works out. But, Junko's dead. Who found out? Who found out? Because this is a very easy chapter to write when Junko is a victim. It is the one and only Bayonetta. It's Bayonetta. Okay. I feel as though, yeah, Bayonetta would kind of be opposed to Junko Enoshima, we got there in the end, in a lot of ways. And I feel as though, you know what, she probably realized, okay, Junko's probably going to live through this, if not is just the mastermind. I'm not going to let her go out and cause despair, because me, Bayonetta, would have to clean it up again. We'll say it's happened, been cleaned up, and like, if she escapes, it will happen again, so... She's like, no more Junko Ashima for the world. No more pronouncing her name correctly, either for me, apparently. Let's just blow her up. So she does like that one gif I keep seeing on Stan Twitter, except she blows up herself and Junko in the process. There is no execution. She takes herself out. Pizza Will. These are getting questionably, like, more... I'm gonna not... We're just gonna ignore the fact it landed on that and roll again. I don't want to revive people. I want them to die. Or leave. Okay, seek a way out. Our second person leaving. Yeah, I'm sorry, I am not reviving. Again. But, okay, Chills has just said, fuck this, I'm out, and joins Cupcake in Flop Tropica. Okay. Sure. Have fun on those beaches, I guess. He'll fit right in, I'm sure. So who's dead then? Who has seen Chills leave now and has completely snapped? I don't know, but they've killed Seek from Doors, Mr. 100 himself. So who is it? Again, some of these will be easier chapters, some of these will be harder chapters. Kaito has killed Seek from Doors. Okay. Bear with me here. I think I can cook this. So, let's say that chapter we psyched out with the hotel conference was just broadcast to the island residents for maybe to lighten their moods. But that hotel does exist. So Kaito goes into that hotel. Issue is, it's haunted by Seek from Doors, because he haunts a hotel indoors. So Kaito goes there and he's like, wow, this hotel sure is scary. Also, there are demons here. I should probably exorcise them. He just picks up a crucifix and he's trying to ward them off, not realizing that he accidentally just uses it on Seek when he runs into him, causing him to be dissolved and emancipated instantly, which counts as a murder on this island. So Kaito's dead. He's the ultimate astronaut. Can't really love what lore accurately happens to him because I've not finished V3. So I'm gonna say we are gonna blast him off in a rocket. Except the rocket goes into the sun. And the sun has a smiley face on it because it did in the opening to Danganronpa 1. Fly high, Kaito Momoto. If that ends up being his fate in the actual game, I'll be quite sad. But it probably won't be. Watch this age poorly. Pizza Wheel. Come on. Give me a death chapter. And death chapter I shall receive. Up the ante. This time it's 3 for 3. 6 people dying. Who's gonna go? Who's gonna go? Who's gonna go? It's Kaz from Breath of the Wild. Fair enough. Someone clearly wanted to kill the vibe. Who else? Show it to me. Show it to me, please. It is Rambly from Indigo Park. Okay, I guess they are killing all the talking animals today. Fair enough. And last is not Chris McLean, it's Project Red. Really, 2 suggestions in one go. Wait, no, that was 3 suggestions killed in one spin. But who's killing them? Bulma. Okay, I guess, I mean, I would take her to be the types of murder, I guess. Who else? Junpei, okay, from the 2000s, maybe opposed to talking animals, it's fine. Might be confused by an accordion-playing bird. I know I would be. And last is after being pseudo-revived, he also decided to not be able to hold himself away. I'm gonna say, there's people that are just slightly opposed to the existence of talking animals. They think it's an abomination against nature. It just so happens it's those 3. I guess people would be quite sad to see them go, especially Kaz. He got quite thumbs up to be a suggestion for this one. So I'm gonna say they get killed by having tomatoes thrown at them in the street by the audience tuning in for this game. Cannon, spin the pizza. Spin the pizza. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? We're upping the ante. Really? Okay, we're going 4 on 4 now. I said it could get crazy, and I was right. Who is dead then? You're kidding me. Another fucking Jacob from Dead Island 2. I guess he's joining the island of being dead. But who else is joining him? Dio from Virtue's Last Reward, okay. Instead of the animals, they're taking out the really dangerous people this round. Case in point, they killed Beyonce! Okay. I mean, I guess she does kill people who don't thank her, so there's something there. And last is Venti, yeah. Mr. Can spawn a black hole on you probably would be considered dangerous by some. So who's killed them? Who's killed them? Who do we need to get rid of? Who do we need to come up with motives for? And the first one is Clover. Okay, Miss Axe Wielder herself. She would entirely kill Dio, but I'll explain. Maybe it's 4 separate murders that get lumped into one. Other one being Britney Spears. Okay, I've got an execution for her that I think could work, actually. From test runs, it was very good. Then up next is Makoto, a Miss Sniper from Blue Archive that's quite immature, according to my notes. And then last but not least, it had to be one of the detectives, and it was Naoto. Okay, so I'm going to say each of these are one-on-one murders that happen in such quick succession that they were just lumped into one case for the sake of pacing. So first things first, easiest one to explain is Clover and Dio. They are both in Virtue's Last Reward. Clover knows who the fuck Dio is, and for those of you in the audience who don't, he's a guy that is sent to disrupt the game by one of 2 ways. Either winning, or blowing the place up if it doesn't look like he's gonna win. And as it stands right now, statistically, Dio is not going to win. So Dio starts cooking up the bombs I mentioned earlier, and Clover's like, no you don't. And she's swinging them, accidentally hits like one of the antimatter capsules and just blows both of them up. So I think that's quite in character for her to do. Fly High, Dio, and Clover. Beyonce, Britney Spears. Very easy to explain. Britney knows Beyonce is coming for her because she forgot to thank Beyonce at an awards show. So Britney acts first, absolutely clobbering Beyonce, finally ending her reign of terror once and for all. Then, up next, I'm going to say Makoto from Blue Archive is listening to Jacob from Dead Island's 2 stories about zombies, and she's like, "You're insane," but she comes around to believing it. Only, at some point in it, it sounds very much like he's dodging the point that he's been bitten. Makoto, not having, super words of maturity, panics to high shit and proceeds to no-scope Jacob right then and there, and that leaves our final matchup to be Naoto and Venti, who I imagine Naoto is investigating Venti because he's pretty sussing Engine. He is not just the Animo Archon, like he's got some other stuff going on. And Naoto's like, okay, this is bad. Only Venti's going to try and kill Naoto, but Naoto gets the jump and caps Venti before he can silence Naoto from looking into him. Now, as for the executions, I actually want to commit to these. And for Clover, let's stick more accurate. Let's say she's stuck in an incinerator. Britney Spears, I'm going to say we stick her in solitary confinement, and her loneliness truly is killing her in that one. Let's just say Monokuma pushes Naoto into a TV, and they are never seen again. And then for Makoto from Blue Archive, yes, I'm going to say Makoto gets signed to FaZe because of having such, cool no-scope quick shot skills and stuff. And is then proceeded to be worked to the bone until they are nothing more than a husk of a person. I think that worked. Pizza Wheel, do not let me down. Please do not give me up the ante again. Okay, it's Flip. We love Flip. It's a one-time use. Flip is great. So what is Flip, I hear you ask? Well, we're going to roll for Culprit first, and then Victor. And the Culprit is Raiden Shogun. Okay, both Archons leaving in quick succession. But who is the Raiden Shogun killing? Linny? But that's not Linny. You remember Linny died last time. Fighting Dio. So, if Linny's dead, then who's this Linny? Well, it's Dio's head, stitched onto Linny's body. It's the only way he could come back. And, well, let's just say the Raiden Shogun is aware of Dio's sins and crimes. I'm just gonna say, we're gonna keep it short and sweet. She figures out it's Dio, figured out he's kind of weak because he's on Linny's body and has, a no muscle mass, and she proceeds to just, in plain sight, Musa no Hitotachi Shing. So Dio is dead, and I guess Linny too, if there was any part of him in there. Fly high, sweet prince. Okay, I've got a mean one for Raiden Shogun's execution. So, in case you don't know, in her war, slight spoilers, her sister dies in the Archon's war. So I'm going to call this one, It Should Have Been Me, Not Her. So she is made to relive that fact from a distance, and the moment she says it should have been me, not her, her and her sister switch places, and the Raiden Shogun's the one who gets killed in that exact scenario instead. I think it's simple, but effective. You know what else is effective? This pizza wheel causing chaos. What do you have for me? Fine, I'll do it, but it's our last double revive. So, place your bets. Who is coming back from the dead? Who's coming back from the dead on our last double revive? Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? By the way, shout out to whoever suggested doing a double revive last time. But it is number 26. And number who? Number who? Because I'm looking. Ooh, 26. Nobody's died around there. And it's also, 23. Give me 2 seconds, because I think barely I can make this work. Okay, so the people who revived this time were Kaito and Toko. I guess for Toko, they finally found her an EpiPen, and that brought her back. And for Kaito, I'm going to say that the rocket that Monokuma sent him off in was made by Spirit Airlines, so it got half of the way there and then had to turn around. Round time. Who's dying? Who's dying? We're multiple rounds deep. Come on, give us something funky. Give us something with a little bit of spice. And spice we get. Fly high, Thanos from Squid Game. Hate to see him go. I liked him. But apparently I didn't, because I'm his murderer. I mean, no, sorry, Mustache. Neremik is his murderer. Why would I kill Thanos? Why would I kill Thanos? I'm gonna say, Thanos likes a little bit of the recreational. He's got his little thing in Squid Game 2 where he has a little bit of a sly breath mint throughout the games to give him an extra pep in his step. Yeah, I'm trying to keep ads on this one if you can't guess. So what I'm gonna say is that I bump into him, and his thing opens, and all his mints fall down into a conveniently placed drain, of which is inaccessible, and heartbroken by the loss of his treasured breath mints, Thanos foams at the mouth and dies. Damn, I'm getting sent down for this? Sorry, Mustache Neremik is getting sent down for this. But his execution, you know what? Let's make it Squid Game themed, why not? So I'm gonna say, I'm putting a game of Mingle with everybody else, but it's rigged against me. There's a room for everyone else, everybody else has got a little bit of a speed buff. I'm just doomed to play Mingle until I die. And Mustache Neremik is looking around like, okay, rooms, and he's running, he's thinking he's gonna make, and they lock the door, because they all get in. And I'm just there at the thing, and the Dean and Suda are just looking through, and I'm like, oh no! And then they take me out, they take Mustache Neremik out. I'm just gonna spin the pizza wheel. That one hurt me emotionally, I'll admit. It hurt a little bit. Rule breaker. Okay, nice and simple. We're gonna spin someone, and they're gonna get killed for breaking the rules. Previously, in iterations, I've done it so there's a 1 in 4 chance they survive. I've just decided that's probably not, you know what, screw it. They can card avocado. I'm gonna do it. You've got a 1 in 4 chance to survive. If it's a 1, you live. Fly high, sweet prince. Ka-chow. If I had to guess what rule it was probably not going in the kitchen after lights out. Wheel time. What's it gonna be? It's gonna be Makoto Yuki dead. Wow, how canon. And who else? Who's gonna kill them? Who's gonna kill him? It's Midoriya. Okay. I think this one could be like a nice misunderstanding chapter. In the sense that, Makoto Yuki's kind of got death inside of him. It's not very good. Midoriya kind of has a vested interest in making sure, death is not brought to the world as a hero. So let's say, after clocking this, he's like, right, on the one hand, I can let him live his life, and end up bringing around the fall and all that stuff. We'll say this happens before the ending of Persona 3. Or, I can kill him, and then I kill death, and then I don't have to deal with the fall. So anyway, he proceeds to go all for one 100% Manchester Smash, and sends him into orbit, where he quickly freezes and eventually stops thinking. Yeah. Okay, for Midoriya's execution, let's get a bit meta. I'm gonna say Monokuma locks him up to the Neo World program, but instead of putting him in the lovely, island settings that thing can produce, no. He sticks that fucker on AO3. And before long, Midoriya, much like Makoto Yuki after he was sent into the space, learns to just stop thinking. Poetic. Spin the pizza. I'm surprised we haven't had some of the crazy ones yet, but we barely missed majority rules. Are you serious? Hey, they get more fun the later on they come in, I guess, but double murder, you know the rules, somebody's got to be busy, but how busy have they got? Shall we find out? It's going to be bada bing, bada boom. X. Finally, our antagonist is dead. Our antagonist? Gone. But he's joined by one other person. Leon. X and Leon going out. Am I hearing that right? Okay. Well, who's killed them? Who's gone and done it? It's Gojo. After returning, he's decided to kill... Right. Okay, I guess Gojo psychologically, yeah, he's been brought back from the dead once, so I kind of imagine he's kind of like Lefish in a few ways. Possible fan favorite, completely unhinged. So I'm gonna say, Gojo, he's not a fan of, the other heroes on the island, but X specifically, because he's, just so pure-hearted, it kind of drives Gojo insane. This isn't Gojo anymore, this is, fucking... Freak Joe. Okay, no, it's Tweak Joe, because he's tweaking out constantly. And he's like, okay, X, you annoy me. I am better than you. Shut up. I'm going to kill you, Hollow Purple. But what he doesn't realise, when he sets off Hollow Purple, he sends it off in X's direction, not realising that X and Leon are having a lovely father-son bonding moment. Yeah, we're going with this. Holy shit, Hollow Purple has erased both of them from existence. How do we kill Satoru Gojo a second time? I'm gonna say the reanimated corpse of Tommy Wiseau climbs out of the ground, now vampiric, and driving a flying vampire car for added, just pure aura, and then proceeds to bite down on Gojo's neck and drain the life force from him a second time, before returning to his cryptic slumber once and for all. I promise I'm not drunk doing this, I'm entirely sober writing this for the record, but yeah, I don't know. This video series makes me in fact say words. Okay, immunity, this is our second pull, which means that's going off the wheel. So yeah, the first time we ended up awarding it to Bingus, so who's getting it this time? It is, thankfully, one of your guys' suggestions. It is Shin from Your Turn to Die. Mr. Crafty apparently has some reservations to make sure he's, not dying early. I can respect it. And, to spice things up, I'm going to spin the pizza wheel a second time. This round's going to have double the spice. We're sending somebody off to storage. Okay, so this one can also be activated twice. We're going to spin someone, and whoever it lands on is going to go off to storage. They're going to get lost, shoved into the supply closet, one of the other, and it's Mr. Flag. I mean, if you look at him, yeah, he's, he would get lost, or locked in a locker, or travel the sewers. But Mr. Flag is now in storage, and we need to find him, and he needs to find his way out by us rolling storage again. So he's off the wheel for now, he can't die, he can't be murdered, but if we don't roll storage again to bring him back in before the game is over, he will die of starvation. Probably more so than anybody else, because that guy is like 6. But moving swiftly on, the round has been sufficiently spiced up. Somebody's immune, somebody's missing, and somebody's dying, and it is Mihiru. You know, the redheads eradicated each other. She was the last one standing. And she goes and gets killed by Austin fucking Powers. Okay, why would Mihiru Koizumi get killed by Mr. Groovy Baby himself? Okay, we gotta walk in. We gotta be serious here. Actually, no we don't, Mihiru, while attending Hope Speak Academy, made a few friends. One of them is Mini-Me from Austin Powers, and ever since she's been working for him. I know, Dr. Evil and everything. But this presents a problem, because now it's getting small. The people on the island, they actually know each other. And Austin Powers finds this out through his great powers of deduction, of which may have just consisted of asking, I don't know, the Electro guy or Jushimatsu to spend like 3 minutes investigating. They're built different like that. And I guess how we get rid of Mihiru is maybe you just go back in time and be like, okay, no, I'm going to change your timeline so you're just never here. Either by stopping her being born or stopping her going to Hope Speak. And it's like, okay, no, you're no longer here, bye-bye, and she just fades out of existence, and Monokuma's like, that counts as a case. So they figure that out. Somehow. If I had to guess how we get rid of him, we'll just say Monokuma does the same thing to him. He yoinks his time machine and just proceeds to wreak havoc on his timeline. And we see him fade out in just a way worse way than Mihiru did. Like, he too is just erased from the timeline, but everybody remembers him for continuity reasons. Yeah, I feel also for a double spice round, that one was, it was in fact sufficiently spicy. That's 5 aside, isn't it? Let's get it over with. The first one is Chris McLean, dead. Okay. Again, I could alternate for this one, but no, I'll do it by blocks. We know who our victims are and then who our culprits are. But Chris McLean followed by Shin dodging barely. Chopper from One Piece. Okay, fair. Who else? This is a big scheme. Miku. Barely Miku. I hate to see it, but she had to go eventually. Then who's left? Heizo. I guess realistically he could have asked Heizo in that last case too, but it doesn't matter. You can't ask him now because he's dead. And last and not least for our victims is Akechi too. Yeah, I forgot there are actual detectives left. Well, I guess now there's not. But 5 more. 5 dead. 5 killers. Who is our first killer? It is Kenji, Persona 3. Okay, yes. Believable.
Who else then? Who else? Jade from Victorious, entirely believable. Well, who else? We got 3 more left, I think, so come on, keep giving them me. You keep giving me them funky thing. Okay, Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, you for real. These are like, look, some of these make sense, and the rest just don't. That's quite interesting. Suda barely dodging death for it to go and land on Snoop Dogg. Okay, and the last one. Whom? It's Belatro guy. I guess he snapped after getting Mahiro erased from the timeline last time. So I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, where these are just 5 individual things that we kind of speed around through them. So Chris gets killed by Jade, because he's trying to run Total Drama Island whilst he's on the island, and tries to make Jade do a stupid challenge. It pisses her off, and she bashes his head in with a high heel. Then I'm going to say Heizo and Sheldon get into an argument over like science and funny theories and being clever people and stuff. Sheldon snaps, and so proceeds to throw Heizo into a localized Large Hadron Collider he's been hiding on the island the entire time. Snoop Dogg, I'm gonna say, has a smoke session with Akechi at his request, and then Akechi subsequently asphyxiates. I'm gonna say Belatro guy ends up killing Chopper after they start gambling, and Chopper ends up owing a load of money to Belatro guy, so he goes bonk, 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 bonk. And last but not least, I'm going to say Kenji kills Hatsune Miku by accidentally stumbling over her power cord, subsequently, or technically, whatever word it is, killing her. And as for how we get rid of all 5 of those at once, okay, so I'm going to set the stage. It's the 5 of them, they're just in a void. You know, all around them is just, you know, gas and air and boring stuff, it's all dark. And then all of a sudden, there's a big bang. It goes off. It's crazy. It's insane. And then Snoop Dogg music starts playing. It's basically like a Fortnite event. And they're like, whoa, this is so crazy. And they end up at some point during what is essentially the creation of the universe, ending up in the Belatro universe card Hell Dimension, where they are then made to play numerous rounds of Belatro for their lives. Yeah, that might be the weirdest one yet, but I can't think of any other efficient way to kill 5 people in an execution, so before we think too much about it, wheel! Seesaw. Okay, so this was meant to be in last time. We're only going to get this one once too, but this was meant to complement Korekio being in last time, and then I forgot, so it wasn't. But basically, Seesaw was meant to be Korekio killing somebody and then framing it on someone else. Whereas this time, because he died last time, instead what it's going to be is Korekio's ghost killing someone and then making a deal with Monokuma, like, okay, I'm going to frame someone because obviously the audience get annoyed if a ghost actually did this murder, so I'm going to frame someone. And Monokuma's like, yeah, sure. So he's framing someone. If I had to guess, the seesaw that he was building last time, Monokuma brought to the island, and he just possesses it, uses it to make a shockwave and kills someone with it, and then pins it on someone, and Monokuma just goes along with it. So there's no wrong culprit outcome for this one. And he kills Ao Oni. Okay, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, he's probably the scariest thing left on this island, to be fair, next to, like, Mira. So I get Ao Oni's dead. Who is Korekio's ghost going to frame for such a murder, though? It's really James from Team Rocket. We've not killed any of their Pokemon they brought with them, for the record. No, he just frames James, and James is like, oh, I guess I did. And goes. How would James get... You know, I'm just going to say they kill him with the seesaw. He got it. He's with Jesse. He's in a better place now. Spin my funky pizza wheel. What do we have? What do we have for this one? Deluxe gambling barely. This can only happen once, and you're very much about to find out why. So deluxe gambling is like, let's go gambling. If I was deranged, this is why it can only exist once. So usually, let's go gambling is between 2 and 5. For victims and killers, but for both, rather than it just being one or the other. Deluxe gambling, we double both of these columns. So the minimum is 4 and the maximum is 10. Yeah, this one's gonna be fun. 10 victims. 4 murderers. Well, you heard the thought, there's a reason we only do that once. For context, there is currently, about 55 people left in, so this is gonna eradicate about 20% of the game. Who do we got, then? Who do we have? Who are our 10 victims? First one is Bowser, followed by
God, it's very funky. It's very funky watching this spin and possibly kill people. Second being Kris Jenner, I mean, I guess it makes sense. Her swag was too great, somebody was going to take her out eventually. Third is... Ooh, one of our Shenmue guys, Rio. Fair enough, I'm surprised he lasted this long, to be fair. Then who else? Who else? This wheel is shrinking, man, and I kind of hate it. The Chinese teaching them TikTok? I mean, she didn't fit on the wheel, to be fair, but number 99, she's gone, she's flying high. Then... Shin from Your Turn to Die, but he's immune, so it doesn't count. I kind of love that, actually. We go again. But his immunity is gone now. If we land on him again during this roll, he dies. You couldn't write that if you tried. But for number 6, it is the one, the only, the irreplaceable Jushimatsu. Oh, I liked him so much, man. Okay. Then who else? Snake? Well, I guess he's joining his sister, you know, sure. Oh, this hurts, man. I mean, granted, it's speeding up the pace of this recording tremendously, but... Oh, Nadine? Against Suda dodging death a second time, may I add for the record. Who else? Knowing Malik's gonna land on Suda now, but it's not. Skylar White, okay, her swag was too great, they were gonna take her out. I guess they're just killing all the divas this round. And then last but not least, for our victims, is none other than the other Breaking Bad character, Gus Fring, making that 10 victims to 4 people. Yeah, 4 more people are in charge of this. So I'm gonna say, how we do this is gonna be insane, but Tails is dead, okay, well no, he's not dead. Tails is snapped, apparently. Who else is snapped? Because that's the only reason I can explain how the hell this chapter happens. Shin from Dragon Ball snaps. You know, that explains a lot about the people killed and the amount. Then who else? Let's see him. Iyami, yep, Iyami would go on a murdering spree if it earned him any remote amount of money. And last but not least... Hawks, yeah, he's already deranged, so it makes sense. Okay. Give me like 0.2 seconds to very quickly figure out. Actually, you know, no, I don't need any time to put with an excuse. Let's think about it, right? Tails, probably privy to going insane after being here, especially because he's probably one of the more mentally stable people here. Makes sense. Shin, God, probably not paid enough for this. I can see him snapping. It happens to other Dragon Ball gods. You know, hello side mention of Pookie. Okay, and then you have Iyami. Like, yeah, he's losing his mind every other week in Osamatsu. Season 4 this year, by the way. Plus, he'd do anything for money, so I feel so, like, a minor amount of financial incentive from, say, Hawks would tip him over the edge. And Hawks? Yeah, like, I guess... Maybe he signed up to this to maybe kill all the bad people. Like, you gotta think, we're killing Gus Fring. You know, we're killing Bowser. You know, like, he's probably in there for the evil people. And then I'm gonna say the other 3 have just, like, gone psycho. Okay, but it feels like because we're taking 14 people out, I really need to make this one a good one. So I've got a plan. So the 10 of them are all invited to a special spooky Halloween event allegedly hosted by Monokuma at the conference hotel. See, it always comes back to it. You know, they're gonna perform a seance. They're gonna see, can they find the ghost of Seek? Can they find the ghost of Junpei in there? Ooh, it's so spooky. But they go in and the doors are locked from the outside by Shin. And they're like, oh, there is no conference. There is no ghost hunt. We've been bamboozled, boys. And then in the dark, they get picked off one by one. There's like, you know, the Fortnite wall traps from Tails that he's installed. They just go, psh, and it's like, you know, Gus Fring never stood a chance. You know, it's taking out Rio and Bowser as well. And then Hawks is in the dark with like his swords and feathers. And he's just slicing through everybody else that's left. And then Iyami is there.
Yeah, just tap the fucking table.
And then the 4 of them, eventually, after like, I'm gonna imagine the longest trial of this one, get brought to justice and get executed. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to make this a multi-stage one. So first things first, Monokuma deals with Hawks. He shows him his audience polling opinion rating from the people watching along at home. And he previously was doing pretty well with the ladies, but now it's plummeted. And heartbroken by that he can't take it anymore, and takes himself out with one of his feather swords. Then is Tails. He's just in a workshop, and he's like, okay, since you love machinery so much, escape this machinery-themed escape room before it blows up. We'll say it was rigged by one of the many bombs I assume Jushimatsu had on him. And Tails is like, oh, I can do it, I'm a genius, but he's not a genius enough to escape the room. It goes BAM! Then next is Iyami. I'm gonna say Monokuma zaps him with a beam that turns him into a version of himself made by Udon, who he then proceeds to sell off pieces of to the audience, where he is then shipped all over the world and then eaten in small miniature pieces. Yes, that is lore accurate to Osamatsu, for those of you wondering. And last but not least is Shin. Monokuma, he dials into, what's his name? Zeno, and he's like, hey, one of your guys just, helped kill 10 people. Can you come and get rid of him? So then Zeno shows up and he's like, I'm relieving you of your duty, Shin. Bye, Hakai. Whew. And then Shin was no more. Okay, so I took a break from recording. We're back now. Second half. Will the pizza wheel decide to be nice? I don't know. I've made the pizza wheel and the other wheel look kind of nice because I was getting a bit messy before. But the mall, okay, this can happen once. The mall is really fun because I'm going to spin somebody and I'll explain. It kind of gives it away, but what could it mean? What could it mean? Who is going to the mall other than Yamcha Dragon Ball? Okay, so basically the mall is like storage if it actually expires. So Yamcha is just gone to the mall for this round and then 2 rounds after it, and then he comes back on the one after that. So he's just at the mall, he's just chilling. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody can find him to kill him. Maybe he was the planned murder for this one, but it doesn't matter, because they settled for Miu instead if he was. Ooh, okay, Genius Inventor down. That's some lead act, I'll admit. Question is, Denji killing Miu. Okay, I think there's a really easy explanation for this, in the sense that, Miu is exactly the type of person that would pull Denji in Chainsaw Man, but as most of you will know, he is, the most inexperienced man with women ever. So listen, all I'm gonna say is that maybe she tries pulling on a cord because she's a bit of a freak like that, and then Miu gets the Chainsaw Man experience and sashimi'd. And then as for Denji's execution, I guess we can just keep it in canon and say he gets killed by the mob. Sounds about right. Yes, let's pizza wheel. I feel as though that was an oddly simple chapter. Majority rules. Okay, I know I just said I really didn't feel like having a really big round, and majority rules means that we're probably not going to have another big round. So quite simply, I can only do this once, because this will take out a wedge of the other wheel. We're going to spin this twice. This is not even its own case, we're going to spin the pizza wheel again. But we are going to spin. And the first person this lands on is Kirishima, but in between Todoroki. Now, I'm not going to remove those two. We need to get 2 points on this wheel that we are going to go between. And the majority rules, if this is starting to set in what this is, yes. So, we've picked Kirishima, and the wheel has picked Okuyasu to be the other wedge in that. Which means, if we, how do I explain this? Basically, everything between Kirishima and Okuyasu gets sacrificed. So say goodbye, everybody, to Kirishima, Shigaraki, Kamatsu, Josuke, and Okuyasu. That had the potential to be devastating. I'm kind of happy it didn't. And yeah, this is just my way to very quickly get rid of a big wedge of this wheel. At least that was a plan. I mean, it's obviously looking a little bit healthy still. But yeah, that can only happen once. That's just a chunk gone. I understand it's an underwhelming way to go, but it could have been more than a little bit of the, a little bit of the wheel. Again, it was whatever portion that we rolled was in the minority rather than the majority. But whoops! What's it gonna be? Who has gone and accidentally taken themselves out? The goofiest of all fellas. Okay, so opening this chapter, he either kills himself or, well, gets too goofy and dies in an accident, which I think is funnier. So I'm gonna say the goofy fella, maybe he does try to be like L from Death Note, but maybe he's like, aha, no, I'll prove this isn't poison by drinking it, and his deductions were in fact wrong. I mean, that just happens. So with the backdrop of that, and there's just a purge happening. Our first actual case, in a few minutes, and Luigi is going. This wipes out the Mario chunk of the wheel, as small as it was to begin with. Luigi is dead. Initially took out Haze way back in case 1, and he has been killed by Ibuki. I mean, again, I kind of want to have a few simple cases just to ease the burden on my poor soul when I'm editing this in like a week's time. I feel like Ibuki Miyoda killing Luigi it works in the sense that, like, Luigi is a coward, Ibuki is, like, the type of person he would hate. I could honestly see him unknowingly attending one of her concerts and dying of a heart attack. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he's nervous after the whole goofy fella thing, you know, that happens, and he's like, it's fine, I'll go relax, listen to Ibuki's music, and it's just, well, it's Ibuki's music, so he is swiftly killed. Which I feel makes a lot of sense. Now, as for Ibuki's execution, okay, this is cool. What if we stick her in a room full of speakers and then play her own music back at her in increasingly loud volumes, and eventually it just causes her to go poof. I feel that's kind of a bowler-ass way to go. Grim, but like, that's, it is how it is. Now, double murder. Oh, double murder, how I've missed you. 2 people dead at one person's hand. Who's it gonna be? Only one way to find out. And the first person dead is none other than barely edging out fate again. Carlos gets it instead of Maya Fey. Oh, they just can't have Fireman, you know, being a nice guy. They just couldn't let that happen. And the other one, also barely edging out death, James Charles this time. Mondo dies instead. Like, yeah, Carlos and Mondo were very much in the same camp of, like, bros, probably bringing people together by this point. So is somebody looking to sow division? Did they have beef? I kind of need to know my culprit. And Rurika, listen, she's already died once. So, what, she came back, and then I'm trying to think of a reasonable cause for why she would want to kill... Okay, Mondo makes sense. They were the 10 Hopes Peak. Maybe they had some unresolved beef. Quite would we in the sense. Maybe she served Mondo a, like, undercooked steak. That's not possible, now I think about it. But you know what I mean? Maybe she served him poisoned steak. Maybe she took a page out of Luigi's book. And, like, I guess Carlos... I don't know. I imagine, like, if they're besties, maybe she's trying to get the 2-for-1 special and she's just trying to take Mondo out because... I don't know. I mean, she strikes me as the evil type. Maybe she did have illicit dealings with motorcycle gangs up and down Japan, and she's like, well, if I'm going to make it out of here, the debt's going to get me anyway, so I'm going to get the man in charge of that. I guess we're making Mondo a debt collector retroactively now. But I mean, if you've got anything more plausible, leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to retcon in this. And then as for the execution, listen, I feel as though Rurika needs to be gone for good this time, because, like, she's scared to death too much at this point. So what I'm going to say, in my effervescent wisdom, is I am going to say we drop her into a pot of boiling chocolate, and then we just get, like, she's dead, and then we just have a chocolate Rurika, and then we'll imagine Easter rolls around on the island this one's taking place, and they just roll her down a hill and then share the chunks of... This is getting... oddly morbid, but you know what I mean. They make her into a chocolate Rurika and then eat her. This video isn't getting ads, is it? Let's just spin the pizza and pretend this doesn't get manually checked. The last 2 did, but hey, I can be delusional. And I could also be a gambler. Okay, let's go gambling. Okay, I'm gonna remove this for my own safety because this is 2 and 5 and 2 and 5, isn't it? So 2. Okay, two victims, 3 killers. That's not bad, but I still want to remove it because we're getting to the point now where, again, there's still a lot of stuff that can wipe out people, so let's, you know, see how it goes. But 5 people out, again, this is getting to a smaller and smaller pool of people. She dodged fate once, but she doesn't dodge it again. Maya Fey is our first victim. And our second one. Let's finish the duo. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to take out Maya, and the other one is... Cell! Todoroki, I think you may fundamentally have plot armor. I don't exactly see what's going on with that duo to have them taken out, but we'll see. Again, it could be 2 quick succession murders, it kind of depends. First person dead is Toko. Thank God, finally an easy murder to explain. But, you know, she's got to factor into this alongside with the people, so... Let's see, the other one. Oh, again, dodged death before, didn't dodge it again. James Charles. I'm seeing a trend here. Toko and James Charles possibly queened out a little too hard with... Jiafei. I very much like this kill team, possibly the most out of any serial murder team so far. So, Maya Fey and Cell, and then those 3. I think, let's just say the murderers were queening out a little bit too hard. Jiafei had a few many sips of the sake alongside the other 2, and she's like, you know what? let's scam these people. I don't know why specifically those two. Okay, Maya I can understand. And look, if all Cell knows is fighting, to my understanding, then like, yeah, he probably is vulnerable to a teleshopping scam, so 2 for 1 special. So what I'm going to say is that James Charles Jaffe and... Right, sorry, I've composed myself. So I'm going to say, yeah, Toko Fukawa, James Charles, and Jaffe set up a teleshopping operation targeted specifically at Cell and Maya Fey, because they deem those to be the most gullible. I mean, there's literally multiple senior citizens left in here, but no, those two are the most likely to pay out. So they do that. Maybe, I think this is potentially a really dark chapter, but let's say they're really good at it. Who knew Toko Fukawa could be a good scammer? Actually, I did. With her writing skills, she probably could be. So, you know, they make Cell and Maya Fey drain their bank accounts. And then, I don't know. Maya did work in a law office, so maybe, like, because obviously Edgeworth is dead as hell, and Phoenix isn't here. Like, maybe Maya recruits Cell, and they, like, form a sort of law firm to try and investigate who would do this evil, evil crime. And then, on another session where they all get sufficiently sloshed and they're hearing about it through the grapevine, Toko Fukawa swaps in Sir Genocide Jack, and then, you know, James Charles and Jaffe are like, whoa, cool, and they all queen out a little bit too hard, get blackout drunk, and then when they wake up, Maya Fey and Cell are nowhere to be found. They don't even find the body, but Monokuma's like, it was probably a murder. So, I mean, I think that's plausible. Now, as for the execution, so I'm going to say they are having, like, a fan meet and greet at the very top of, like, a cliff. And they're like, oh my god, hi fans, hi. But the fans just keep getting bigger and bigger. They're too popular. They're too good at what they do. You know, Jaffe with her products, James Charles with his makeup, Toko with her writing. And there's so many fans, the mountain starts to shake and they end up getting pushed, like, the very top. And that bit severs, sending them all tumbling into the ocean. And they're like, oh great, we survived the execution. This is cool. Wrong, Monokuma shark. Like, I have to assure you, especially after that last case, no, I am doing all of these recordings entirely sober. I should do, I mean, that's an idea for a future one, though, now I mention it. But ooh, dual murder. Okay, look, they just couldn't keep away. Again, these numbers are dropping like a rock. But 2 people dead. Again, I'm feeling like now the pool is getting a bit smaller, it really is starting to line up a bit better. Okay, I'm sorry, the prompt said double murder, not octuple murder, but you know, it's fine, BTS, fly high. But who got them? Well, no, who got them? Who else is going with them? Maria, finishing off our Sonic wedge. That's... Okay, I'm trying... there's some heinous ideas I've got for this one, I'll tell you. But it's fine, let it go, and it is. Ren from Shenmue 2. Oh, okay, this is foul, because for those of you who don't know, he's like a pirate, leader of a gang in the docks, and he's severely morally reprehensible, so on. Okay, so what I'm going to say is that Maria in the Sonic series is ill. You know, like, she's on the space station that makes shadows so they can use him to make a cure for her illness. Except she's not on the space station, so she can't get cured. She's on Monokuma's B-Tech Total Drama Island. So what I'm going to say is that, like, she's probably going to, like, conk soon, so BTS are like, you know what? We'll do a Make-A-Wish, that way we don't fall off. Not that they ever would, hashtag army forever, gotta cover all my bases. So you know, that's good, they are chilling for 0.62 minutes, because I'm gonna imagine, like, this is, you know, a private thing, to make it special and not be used for the press. And Ren hears that and just goes, shit, BTS in an isolated location, sign me up! And decides his best course of action to be rich coming out of this is to either kidnap BTS and hold them for ransom, or to kidnap them and hope that their fans storm the island and save them, therefore stopping the game. So he's like operating like 4% morality. And Ren's plan works. Like, the bit he was lying to himself about, like, yes, the fans will rescue us. No, the fans do. They're watching the live broadcast. They geolocate his ass to the cabin he is in, storm the building, carry both BTS and Maria off the island, no boat, they can walk on water, this is how serious it is for them. And by the time they're done swarming the cabin and carrying those two out, there's just a pile of bones where Ren Shenmue 2 once was. And yeah, I guess the 2 of those get carried off to the mainland, though. If BTS is ever seen again, I guess will have to be determined in a future installment. And we'll just say, to keep up the actual kill count here, I don't know, Maria dies on the way over because she's allergic to sea air. Now, Pizza, what you got for us? Again, it's given us some good stuff, I'll admit. But storage, storage. Okay, so yeah, this is going to stick somebody in storage, and then when we roll it, again, they come out. If we do not remove them from storage before the end of the game, though, they will die in it, so we have to be on top of things. But that is Todoroki going away in storage. He will return at some point, I'm sure. But as far as everybody else is concerned, he's missing. He's not protected, he is just gone. Speaking of people who are gone, Bingus. Hard to work with, especially this animal block, but who would kill Bingus, man? Who would kill Bingus? Ooh, you... Okay, that's foul, because Kaito's dodged death once, so now he's killed a cat, and it's getting harder to justify that. Also, I need to, point out the insane sneaks Suda keeps getting and surviving here. Okay, but why would Kaito kill a hairless pink cat? Honestly, I'm thinking... I mean, Kaito's ill as well. We're not doing the Make-A-Wish plot again. But, I think it's very feasible. Maybe we'll say that Kaito's illness makes him have a few lapses in judgment. And as you know, there are a few Dragon Ball people on the characters. They're telling them about Beerus, who was in a previous installment. We're gonna say that everybody here doesn't know he's dead for this to make sense. But, Future Trunks and Yamcha are yapping, and they're like, oh yeah, Beerus, he was kind of like a purple, unassuming cat at times. And Kaito, in his wisdom, not realizing, Bingus is pink and not purple. Maybe he's colorblind as well. Let's just keep stacking up the illnesses. He sees Bingus and he's like, hello, God of Destruction. I'm gonna destruct you before you get hungry and kill us all. So he, he sticks Bingus in, the wreckage from his, failed execution with the rocket. And he's like, hasta la vista, and sends Bingus off to the stars, which he doesn't think is a murder, because, Beerus is from space and a god of destruction. He's going to survive the cold vacuum of space, isn't he? Wrong. And then Kaito slowly has to realize that maybe his goose is cooked, just a little bit. But he doesn't have too long to reflect on that, because execution begins immediately. Most people have clocked what he's doing, given the rocket. But, it's still a rocket by Spirit Airlines, so it just turns around and goes on top of Kaito. I think it works. Right now, Pizza Wheel. I'm enjoying this. The numbers are going down quick. But we have Tangled Up. Oh, Tangled Up, how I've missed you. This is the last time I can do a Tangled Up, so I'm going to remove it from there. But yes, just as a reminder, I'm going to pin two people and their fates are tied. If one dies, both of them dies. And it feels though, after kind of a Dragon Ball-centric previous case, Yamcha being tangled up makes reasonable sense. But who else? Who else is getting tangled up? Whose destiny is linked interconnectedly with Yamcha? It's Sobble. Okay, so resign yourselves now. Both of these make them to the end, or neither of them make it to the end. I'm gonna put maybe more emphasis on neither. But let's go. I'm liking these simpler one-on-one cases. They're kind of quicker to brainstorm. But Kazuha Genshin Impact, dead next. That does finish off all of our Hoyoverse characters, so we really are getting down to the wire. Now, who killed him? I mean, I feel as though there's a Joker Persona 5. Okay, this is the most bizarre one yet, because you would definitely think these two would be on the same side one way or another, so the fact they aren't is kind of, I don't know, mental, crazy. Okay, no, I actually have one I think could work. So, in Genshin lore, Kazuha has a dead friend who was killed by the Raiden Shogun, right? Except, she's now dead. But let's say underneath that surface, especially being trapped on this island for so long with things going wrong, there are thoughts going around in Kazuha's head of, I should have taken revenge, or even while Raiden Shogun was alive, let's do it. Who's gonna stop me? And if I get away with it, I get away with being on this island. So, the thoughts are thinking, and that develops into a palace from Persona 5, even. Now, obviously, Joker's the only member of the Phantom Thieves here at this time, and he's like, oh, Kazuha probably deserves better than to go down this path of revenge, because obviously this is not what your grieving boy needs. So he goes into, Kazuha's palace. So he finishes beating up Shadow Kazuha, but because Joker's a bit rusty, that just causes Kazuha to have a mental shutdown. And Joker just comes back to reality and is like, everything's fine. A few days later, everything is very much not fine. Okay, no, I've got a really good execution for him, actually. So I'm gonna say, the execution starts, and all of a sudden, everything is fine. He's on the island, the rest of the Phantom Thieves are there, everybody's alive, it was all just a bad dream he had whilst on holiday. But little by little, it becomes more apparent that this is not the real world, and cracks start to form and crumble. And I think Joker tries to realize that, tries to hang on as best he can, but by the time everything else falls away, he just finds himself in an empty metaverse with none of his gear, and it's essentially just a boundless white void. And now that the illusion he was in has like crumbled away because he kept noticing discrepancies, he's just stuck in this void with absolutely nothing else to fill it. And eventually, Joker Persona 5 stopped thinking. And before that gets too depressing, pizza wheel please. Seriously, can I have a fun, light-hearted round? You know, right, it doesn't matter who these next two double culprits are, I'm gonna make them the dumbest people so far. And I'm gonna give Miranda and Shigaraki a run for their money. Oh, killing the elderly is always a good start, I've gotta say. Fly High Granny, I can't say you'll be missed, but come on. Tweedledum and Dumber have just killed. On a silver platter, silver platter, I get handed Yamcha. And by proxy, yes, that does mean Sobble will remove them in just a second. Unless it rolls Sobble, in which case that works. It does not roll Sobble, it rolls the trash can zombie. Okay, let me remove Sobble from the wheel and I'll see what I've got. Okay, so I'm gonna say, this is interesting because Granny and Trash Can Zombie are kind of in the same field, but I think I can make it work. So, like, Granny has not been at 100% this entire time. Like, when the Mingle execution was happening for me before, I do not think she was present in that moment. She just kind of made it through on vibes alone. So, she's just kind of gone back to her old ways of, like, cabin, kidnap someone, they escape, repeat, baseball bat. And unfortunately, this week Yamcha has been kidnapped and he's like, right, I've heard about this. Let me get out of here. So he's like down in the basement and he just like discovers the trash can zombie. I can imagine why he's down there. Maybe he's like looking for scraps. I mean, canonically she can't have killed anyone yet. So like I guess he's just like having a look around. So two of them are in the basement and they're like, huh, okay, let's burn her house down. Because, I mean, like, you know, come on, at some point she's gonna get somebody, they're doing a public good if they just, you know, get this senior citizen out of the house like a mecha bingo for an afternoon. So they're like, hey, girl, check this front door. But hey, don't baseball bat me. Tickets for 3. Mecha bingo, you win. So she is, because I think all elderly people are inexorably swayed by, you know, the promise of Mecha Bingo. And at some point, Yamcha goes to the bathroom, climbs out the window, runs back to the house. So yeah, at some point Sobble dies of smoke poisoning. And they're like, oh my god, thanks, it's been such a fun afternoon. Namaste, namaste. Granny goes back to the house, and then the house explodes. And then unsurprisingly, the body announcement just thing goes off. And yeah, unsurprisingly, it's very obvious who did it. So we're gonna say Yamcha has to play Plants vs. Zombies against a Trash Can Zombie. And it's billed as whoever wins this execution just maybe gets to live. Or continue being undead. So the zombies come, Yamcha's using his kung fu to knock him out. He gets bit a few times, but it's fine, it don't matter. He proceeds to knock the head off the trash can zombie. He's doing a complete blinder. He doesn't need no flowers, he just needs himself. And then Monokuma appears and he's like, you are aware that, like, getting bit by a zombie is, like, zombie stuff, you know? And he's like, oh, is it? Thus taking out those 4 people for this round. God, I could not have asked for a better pull for that round if I tried. But can I get a better pull from the pizza wheel this time? You never know, there's still some stuff that hasn't been... Ooh. Serial murder. One person snaps excessively and takes out a good chunk of people. Well, arguably. So we're going to remove that though, because obviously we're getting towards the end now. I don't want to go wiping out everybody, just a few people. And that number of people is... 4. One person kills 4 people. Just so you know, we are 10 people left now. This might very well be the final case, depending on what the pizza wheel... We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go along. But right now, the first person dead. Mira, ending off our 0 escape. What makes sense? She's literally a serial killer. I can imagine she would have been taken out at some point. Very easy to explain. Up next, though, Ogapon, finishing off our Pokemon. I mean, it's kind of like collateral, I think is how I've been using Pokemon so far. It is how it is. Now up next... You can't Time Thief redo this one. Time Thief Redoer is getting got as well. One more.
and then the culprit. Who's it gonna be? We're down to brass tacks now, ladies and gentlemen. And the cat feeder cat gets caught in the crossfire too. This is a weird and bizarre round that doesn't have the vibe of a final round, so we probably will do one more to decide the mastermind. But who's the culprit? I gotta know. We're down to the final few people, and it is... what is that? It's the unknown. So at the end of this round, we will have 7 people left, which means if everything pans out, 5 people will survive. And obviously it's a very interesting final pull as well. Now, why would the unknown decide to kill 4 people? Well, let's rephrase that actually. Why would the unknown decide to kill 1 person and then get 3 things as collateral? And I think at this point, right, I think let's kind of retroactively with this. Let's say Time Thief Redoer, in terms of what the abilities I'm attributing it for this specific video, is really effing overpowered when it comes to helping solve cases, because it can just, like, rewind. Like, you know, we've not had a wrong culprit for a while, so it's just gonna keep catching people, which is obviously not gonna fly. So, the unknown decides first things first. I'm gonna make my gambit, because they don't know it's gonna end at 5, they don't know the mastermind's gonna catch, the unknown decides this is the chance to go. Let's take Time Thief Redoer out the game, card ripped in half, he throws it into an alleyway, and then the remains of said card are then aided up by Ogapon and Cat Feeder Cat, and the Cat Feeder Cat's like, just pulls the face. I think they use toxic baits in these, and Ogapon doesn't realise and just, like, dies at some point. That thing's clueless. It just does he even know he's dead? IDK. Which means that the actual target of the unknown's attack is Mira. So he's taken out 3 people as just raw collateral. It's the unknown versus Mira the Heart Ripper. Which I feel as though, you know, because everybody gave the unknown a hard rap. But beyond that, maybe there's a good person in there and he's like, yes! If I am going to get caught, or if I'm going to kill someone to get out of here, even if everybody else dies, if I do get away with it, I'm going to kill the serial killer. So then if I get caught, net positive? I mean, I'm not seeing any more morally dubious people left on the wheel, to be fair, so props to him. So I'm going to say he decides to kill Mira. I mean, he does live in the walls, so I'm just going to say maybe he, like, lures Mira back to the evil, haunted hotel. Maybe he's like, oh, I know of your past. Maybe I want to collab sometime. He doesn't. The only thing he wants to collab on is her own murder. So, like, Mira's in there just, like, this is so cruel. I mean, I don't think she's 100 up there, so I think she'd be easy to fool. And then the unknown slides out, no longer hiding in the walls, and she turns around and she's like, what is that? And it's the camera zooms in on the unknown, and it says, it's the unknown, and then smashes the mirror over Mira. Like, I don't know about you, but, like, I genuinely think I should get Hollywood writing credits starting soon, because this shit is cinema. Now, as for executions, how do you kill the unknown? Oh, I've got it, okay, so, like, we're on the same stage as before, and the unknown is in the middle, and nobody knows what it is. But how do you find out what something is on a wide scale, therefore making something no longer the unknown? You shine a light on it. Or a few, actually, from every single angle, spotlights hit the unknown, and suddenly, the unknown isn't the unknown anymore. It's just the known, and unable to sustain itself as what it once was, fizzles out into particles that disappear among all the spotlights set upon it, destroying it. And that brings us into our finale. So, I've revamped Pizza Wheel to only have stuff that I would let happen in this final round. Obviously, I can't be getting up the ante because the entire wheel would go. Now, how it's going to work is I am going to spin the pizza wheel, except this particular time, if I land on dealer's choice, I get to pick which segment I'm going to execute on, so it's either a whoops revive, seek way out, storage, etc. Then we are going to let the wheel decide what the final murder is, and I think this is going to be a good one. So, for the last time, spin the pizza, and it's landing on my decision. It comes down to, ultimately, what do I want to be the thing that spices up this round? Do I want somebody to die in an accident? Do I want Todoroki to come back out of storage? Do I want one of these people to escape and be safe from the last 2 people that can die? Or do I want to revive someone to spice up the plot?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think I'll go with a revive. So this is the wheel I've got to decide the final person getting revived that will hopefully have crucial information relevant to this case. I've also had a little fish on there because I think it'd be really funny if out of 112 people he gets picked out. But I mean, he's the fan favourite for a reason, so you never know. Now, I'm going to spin this wheel 3 times, and that's going to give me 3 names that will be up for revival, and I pick the one that I think will be best for the story out of those 3. No more spins, no more less spins, I've got to work with the hand I've been dealt. So, who's up for it? Who are the 3 people I can choose to revive? Have survived their execution, survived their supposed deaths? Who is up for it? Who wants it? Who gets it? And Carlos is our first one. Okay, I mean, I guess that does make sense. If you think about how they, Carlos went, that's not the most done and cut death. So, I mean, it's fair. And in canon, actually. I'll run through them all more in depth in a mo, but Carlos gets pulled the first, again stopping around this bit, and it ends on... It would have been so funny if it landed on Mirror and, like, was another Zero Escape character, but Maya Fey for our second one. And then, one more. Who is it gonna be? Who else is up for revival? Shigaraki. Okay, so I want to run through all of these really quick, because these are the 3 up for it. Because I think we actually got some good decisions in there. So, Shigaraki, I think... how do I describe this in a way that doesn't sound exceedingly biased? Shigaraki has somebody to come back to in this group, is the issue. You know, because he went to the hotel with Miranda in the filler episode, and then they went ghost hunting with Kaido, and he got executed the first time, so he has that bond. And she, against the odds, is still here, so I think there is that emotional core there for him to come back, and those 2 besties to skip off into the sunset. Then, Carlos died more recently, so I think it's easy to explain him coming back, because it's like, well, he just, you know, we just saw him die. It's not the most out there thing if he came back. Maybe Mondo took the brunt of how they died, and then, you know, Carlos survived that way. And then Maya Fey with, like, the connection to the Spirit Realm literally next door is kind of insane. I think she's probably the weakest, but I think, you know, she could have used some psychic stuff to avoid dying, which I think works. So the wheel looks all nice, and I have loaded up Shigaraki into the 0 slot. I feel as though it makes the most sense. He's actually got the tie to somebody on the wheel to make it make sense, and I feel as though there are definitely ways he could escape death using his disintegrate power. So the question is, one last person has to die. He comes back with his intel, he faked his death, he faked his execution, and now he's back. He did some investigating, you know, League of Villains leader. Obviously he's going to have like a little bit of a network to try and figure out who else is evil. But somebody else figures it out from like his hinting. Maybe he's still thinking on it, he doesn't know entirely, but he drops some hints, some characteristics, and somebody else notices it a bit too early and gets taken care of. You know, if I was a sad hamster, I'd be even sadder to be the last person to die right now. So the hamster figures it out. I mean, it works. It works. I mean, maybe the hamster, with being sad so much, is able to see the innate sadness in the killer's heart, and then figures it out. I mean, I gotta figure out who the actual culprit is now, the mastermind. They silence the hamster, even though it's... And I guess the hamster can speak now too, but who was it? I like everybody on this wheel. Unfortunately, as per the rules of the wheel, it cannot actually be Shigaraki who's the culprit, because, again, he can't come back to expose the culprit whilst being the culprit. Insane triple bluff if true, but no. We have to go again. Just if you thought this couldn't be any less stressful. It really wants it to be Shigaraki. It really wants it to be Shigaraki, but I'll do one more spin. If it does him 3 times in a row, you know what? I'll let it be him. But I'll be honest, I would kind of prefer it to be anybody else. Ron Swanson. I see. That makes a lot of sense. Weirdly, out of everybody here that I think could have been
like, the evil mastermind villain, besides the evil mastermind villain, I think Ron actually had the prowess to pull this off. So obviously, like, he's got to be kind of sad internally, right? Kind of be able to do that. Hamster senses that and he takes care of him, so we should solve that first before getting into the epilogue. But I think, basically, like, it's just a hamster at the end of the day. And I mean, what better way for the mastermind to make their first kill of the game than to be recreating one of his most iconic moments in pop culture, which is to say he, much like his computer, grabs the sad hamster, throws it in the dumpster, and then it's just gone. It's just gone. Now, before we go into how they discovered Ron, I think it's important to note why I think he would have done it. First of all, this man is miserable in Parks and Recreation Season 1 and 2, and he hates the government, so I feel as though there's something there. Plus, he's like a crafty guy with woodworking and stuff, so he absolutely could have made most of these executions with a little bit of outside help from other insane people. Maybe he's a remnant of despair. Maybe he was the ultimate carpenter and he was just like there in Danganronpa 2's class and we were just blind to see. Maybe he's who the ultimate imposter replaced. I mean, but like, yeah, so he could have built this stuff, and I think like his purpose for doing it could just be something as simple and as stupid as he just wanted to stick it to the government, because I think every single person here was rather eccentric. Like, even the more normal people weren't well and truly normal. I mean, you've got hamsters, I guess, can speak, because otherwise you wouldn't need to silence it, or at least could spell stuff out. Like, everybody here is, like, exceptional and weird and stuff, and I think the best way you stick it to the government that you hate is to show that, I don't know, I guess he's just Junko fucking Adashima, isn't he? He's like, okay, no, all of this talent and all of this crazy stuff, I'm gonna snuff it out because I don't like you. Which, I mean, I guess just amplifies his feelings in the actual show, but again, he's like remnant of despair, Ron Swanson. So how did they find him out? I mean, Shigaraki comes in with a bit of a profile, but like, that man is off the grid. Even with a network like his, it's hard to find anything about him. But the mastermind has to still be alive because it keeps going on. And I think how they rule out everybody else is like this. They know it can't be Shigaraki because Shigaraki escaped his own death. It would be an insane subtle bluff to do that. I think Future Trunks being from the future also clears him, because if he were to have died here or done this, that would have so irreparably messed with the timeline that it would have created some sort of paradox. They know it's like not Future Trunks. I think the trust that Shigaraki and Miranda formed through their like chapters together where they were hanging out, I think wipes them out. So that's half of the people gone. Now, I think Gonta, in a similar way to how Danganronpa V3 plays out, nobody believed that he could harm anything, or that he would do it unless pushed far enough. So I think like he's not like cleared per se, but they like strongly do not think it could be him, especially because it doesn't seem like it has his fingerprints on this sort of operation. I think they're most suspicious of Suda, who this entire time has been covered in post-it notes, and like kind of has like a somewhat obscure identity, and then those that sing as a coincidence man because it's fucking him. So it goes to a clash trial based on that, with Monokuma saying that one more person will be executed, but if it's not the mastermind, or if it is, it will not be revealed. And after that, it ends. They're free to go. They don't need to catch the mastermind to leave, but they want to. Now, because of the reasons I just mentioned, they are primarily suspecting Suda and no such thing as a coincidence, but for two very different reasons. So Suda first, they do not trust him, even if they like him. First things first, he has come in with a pseudonym. They don't know his real name. His identity is like also obfuscated, not only through that, but because like the man's covered in like post-it notes. It's a weird get-up. You can't really identify him from a distance, or at least out in the real world, it'd be hard to find him. So it does scream as just cover. And then you go to this thing's a coincidence guy that's just innately a little bit off, a bit askew. He's not been helping out too much. They argue, like, is it, it's no coincidence you're here at the end, is it? Because if the mastermind's still alive, obviously they're going to be pointing fingers at him. So the focus stays on those for a while, and they're trying to figure out, what could nail one of them down over the other, because they both think it's plausible. The actual mastermind's laughing away to themselves. And I think they are able to, first things first, really shift focus onto Suda, because all the close calls that they had on our wheel this time, let's say that translates into actual events there, where they had very close chances to be involved in cases, either as the murdered or the murderer, and then didn't for whatever reason. I think that becomes knowledge at this trial or beforehand. They really don't trust it, and it shifts often as such thing as a coincidence. I guess they kind of like dislodge it because they think whilst he's cryptic and weird and stuff like that, like especially with Shigaraki, he's actually able to find stuff on him and like it's confirmed, like he's got no means to be pulling this off, even if he does have his own app. Like it's simply impossible for him to have the money to do this. Whereas you come to Suda, and all of a sudden it starts to line up just a little bit. The pseudonym, the close calls, and the fact they're a musical artist. Oh my god, he is gonna be minted. And plus, like, you think everybody else kind of knows each other intimately. Plus, again, the fact he's under a pseudonym, Shigaraki can't confirm anything about this person. They're the most mysterious person here, other than Ron, who, again, has publicly said he doesn't want to be tracked by the government and therefore wipes all his stuff. So the focus really zones in on Suda, but he does manage to throw some of it back on Ron, who says that he's basically in the same boat. He's mentioned his gold and how rich he is and how he dislikes the government and stuff. Plus, he's a craftsman, so he could probably have made all of the executions himself too, whereas you look at Suda's frame, he's not building anything. But still, they are split down the middle. Did they go with the recording artist who had the means to hire and fund this entire thing that they don't even know the true name or identity of? Or did they go with Ron, who has been relatively, like, you know, keeping to himself the entire time as is himself, does also have the money to bankroll this, and then the craftsman skills to personally make each thing tailored to the specific circumstances as it goes along. And in the end, it is a vote split immediately down the middle.
She's here, isn't she?
It's really good to see you, Ron.
You've aged horribly.
I got it! You may now kiss the bride.
And there we have it. So, what do you think? There are your survivors, and there are the people that escaped to Tropica as well, meaning that in total, 8 people made it out of this one, out of 111. That is insane. I enjoyed it though. There are all the people I was rooting for in this one. Of course, this is the biggest cast to date, plus we did executions this time. But I enjoyed this one. In terms of future installments for this, I do apologize if this one comes out in March because I am procrastinating on editing it. I imagine it's going to be a big one, but hopefully it was worth the wait. I don't know what length this is going to be, but I guess we'll find out. Now, in terms of future installments of these, I do want to quickly run through it. I'm going to be doing a Champion of Champions at some point with either characters that survived and made it out, or characters that I want to see brought back because I found them amusing one way or another in previous installments, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In terms of a 4th installment, I do actually have a tentative list, but if you want to drop last minute suggestions for what could possibly make that, then do feel free. I have been factoring in some overflow ones from previous comments. I try and take one from each list. So yeah, I do have a 4th list. It's looking pretty good. Don't know when it's going to drop, could be before or after I do the Champion of Champions one. It is what it is. Now, there is one last thing. If you've watched this far, I imagine you are a big fan of this series, and also as the channel, and I want to thank you all for your support. Now, I was thinking, because this one took so long to edit, why not lower the stakes for the next one? So before we do either number 4 or Champion of Champions, why don't we do a I made my subscribers play Danganronpa, but the wheel decides their fate. Obviously it won't have to be subscribers, just people in the comments of this video I want to maybe throw onto a wheel and do that with. Some of them will be friends of the channel just for some brand familiarity, but if you want to get involved, then let me know. Drop either your characters or just if you want to see me throw you in. I will probably heavily mischaracterize you, but yes, I'll see if I can get some familiar channel faces in as well as some new ones. If you enjoyed the series and want to be a part of it, that is your chance. It will probably be a smaller cast though, I'm probably aiming for like 22. But yes, thank you very much for tuning in and supporting this series. I really do appreciate it. Seriously, the support the first 2 parts have got has been crazy. Even now, as I'm recording this bit in like late January, the first one's still getting views, and it's like, yeah, cool to see this random concept I came up with on a whim doing so well. So thank you. I've already joined on long enough though, so thank you very much for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Many more on the way, maybe not at the same pace. They've been coming out at like once per month, but It'll happen. They're on the way. When? I don't know, but keep your eyes peeled. I'll make sure to make a community post to let you know. And the best way to keep posted is subscribing, so you get notified when they come out, alongside any of the content on the channel you might be interested in. And of course, likes, comments, and all that jazz are appreciated as well. But thank you very much for sticking to the end. I'm going to wrap this one up now. So until next time, with all that said and all that aside, thanks for watching, guys. My name has been Neremik, and peace out.